Hi, welcome to my art studio. I'm Laurel, and here we focus on all things art, ASMR, and of course my outfits. Duh. Do you want to see? Boom. She's glittery. You voted, and I listened. I asked you, what would you like me to paint? And you said the Heath Ledger Joker. Thank you to everybody who voted. So, yeah, today we're painting the Heath Ledger Joker. And let's be real, the best Joker. I am a fan myself. I've painted many a Joker, and I'm unqualified because I basically just went to art college, which is basically a scam, right? But I will teach you everything I've learned over the years of just being an avid, passionate painter. We're in this together. So whether you are here to catch some seeds, or you are here to learn a thing or two about painting, you came to the right place. And you are welcome to follow along as closely as you would like. However, if you want to take bits and pieces of this and apply it to your own vision, please be my guest. That's how you become more confident in your creative skills. Alright, the first thing I'm gonna do is cover my canvas with black. I have my paint palette here so you can see the paints I'm using. I'm using a variety of acrylic paint. Here are the paints. If you can see, I'm using some thick paints and some thin paints. And if you are curious, I use everything from Artist Loft to Gaffrey. This is online. This is going to be found at your local art store. This is heavy body paint. Heavy body, like thick. It's almost like working with clay or toothpaste. And then I also use Holbein acrylic luminescent paint. I need to come out with my own paint one of these days. Wouldn't that be cool? Okay, you'll know because I'll be selling it to you. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cover the whole thing with black. I'm going to use a larger brush and a lot of water because this is the base of the painting. It's the underpainting or the wash. As you can see, I started on my portrait and then I decided to basically start again. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint over it. my little water bottle. Whoa, way too much water. I have to be careful because, oh my word, what is going on? I think this paintbrush is the paintbrush I used to paint the mural in my house. It's a little bit more heavy duty, and I wasn't expecting the water to drip from the edges. So okay. See, I don't know how I feel about this brush. It's almost like the hardware is leaking the water. I'm just gonna leave that here for now. I'm gonna rinse it off and just set it aside for the time being. That's okay. So, my next step is to, honestly, I think I need to crop my picture to fit, because look, this is my reference image in black and white. I chose a simple image. This is it in color. We're gonna start out with black and white, and then we're gonna add some of the color, because you can see that it's mostly structurally black and white, and then there's little pieces of color throughout. So, but this is a square image. That is the annoying thing about generating AI images, because I did generate this on Midjourney because I wanted to find something that was uniquely mine. I know that sounds a little bit counterintuitive because it's technically not, but by the time I paint it, it is. So, what do you think? Comment below, or think to yourself, what do you think about AI? It's a whole new world. So, I cropped my image to be closer to my canvas aspect ratio rather than it being a square. It's now more of a rectangle, which helps me see it a little bit more accurately. It doesn't have to be perfect, but similar is good. Let's just go for it. I will say painting a wash is a good way to ease your way into it. Don't mind me, I have very short fingernails because technically I bite them, so I have to cut them really, really short. Or I have to get fake nails, and whenever you're a painter and you're constantly using your hands, sometimes I go through phases where I'm like, these are artist hands, okay? Alright. First thing I'm gonna do is focus on the larger shapes, and I feel like I need to wait until the airplane passes. I always feel like that's a good time to strike a pose. Have you learned anything yet? If not, hang tight, because you will. So I'm gonna plot out where I see the shoulders happening. We're focusing on big shapes. They're about midway through, and it's kind of hitting me that I am becoming the Joker with this in a way, which is weird, but that's why I like to paint into old paintings. But there's a little bit of me in this because I started my self-portrait and then I quit and I abandoned it, and now I can kind of see it in it somehow. Water. Okay. Okay, so the head is up here, and I'm realizing as I'm plotting it out, it's gonna be like a little more cropped in than I thought. So I'm gonna have to crop it in even more. I think I cropped it in initially and then it just didn't save. That's why it's throwing me off. At this point, I just gotta get into the painting and hopefully teach you how I'm doing it. So what I'm looking at is these big shapes. We've got a dome for the head, and I'm seeing that the hair I'm looking at the negative space. Do you know what the negative space is? There, I'll show you. The space in here is the negative space. And I'm looking behind him, and I'm looking at the space behind him, and I'm seeing how much there is. So this is the right side of the head and hair, and I'm painting an M on the head, basically. See this M happening? This is the widow's peak moment. And I'm feeling out how much room there is in the hair and not just outlining it. So, measuring it as I go. It looks really dark right now. That's okay. I might peek over my shoulder and look at it in the monitor. As a painter, look at your painting as many ways as you can. Literally turn it upside down, which we will later. So that's why I might see it in this reflection, in that reflection. I might take pictures. Another real artist hack. I'm gonna try to gauge the width of his eyebrow. By doing like a side to side type of thing, and now gauging where his nose is by creating a shape connected to the eyebrow. This shape is similar to a triangle with softer edges, and the more you can simplify shapes in your mind, the better. So the more you can think of it as like soft angle, or like a triangle with two circles on the end, or like, be creative. Break your painting down into those shapes first, and then find the detail within those shapes. I guarantee you, if you think of it this way, you're gonna thank me later. Trust me. Okay. So obviously right now it doesn't look like much. Here's his nose, and I'm trying to gauge how much space is between, like, once I start feeling out where those wrinkles are in between in that negative space between the hairline and his eyebrow bone, I'm realizing, okay, it needs to have room for these wrinkles. So I'm just plotting that out a little bit. Okay, I hope I look okay. I'm concerned. I need to shake it out. This dress is actually like more comfortable than it probably looks because it's mesh and very sheer. I could never decide if I was gonna be a mermaid or a fairy when I grew up. And, you know, I ended up being a fairy, but I sometimes wish I was a mermaid. So, you know, I think the thing about mermaids is they're mostly underwater. That's the problem. I know how to swim. I took swimming lessons and stuff, but yeah, I would rather be above shoreline. I don't want to have to like flap around in the flippers. Now I'm getting out of hand. Okay, so I'm gonna plot out the eye, where the eye will go, and that also in turn helps me shape the nose. So I'm basically making these distorted upside down triangles to really like find the shape of the eyebrows or the makeup on his eye. There's a little point. There's wrinkles and makeup seeping out of the triangles. Think of it that way. I have to try to use abstract language whenever I explain painting. The thing about painting is it's poetry with pictures. It's visual poetry. And poetry is a painting with words. When I learned that, my mind was basically forever expanded, and it's not just this cool, interesting happenstance, it's reality. And I love both words and painting. I'm a singer-songwriter, poet. I talk. Whenever I talk, I feel like it requires my entire being to like conjure up the correct words. I don't know if that shows, but hopefully I'm expressing the painting process in a way that it kind of clicks, because it's not so much about following a start to finish format for me. It's more about maybe using that as a guide to learn something, and then understanding concepts that you can apply to everything, not even just painting, to life. That's the crazy thing. Painting is like life. Painting is like life. Is it okay if I get my dirty hands on you? Okay. Getting distracted. So, stop distracting me, or I'm gonna get mad. Alright. So here's his eyes, the little seeping out wrinkles that come up. And there's actually gonna be a big, like, bald spot, kind of like receding hairline moment. In here, there's going to be a lot of like highlights. I just want to make sure his head is wide enough. Okay. So here's his nose. There's going to be a shadow in here, which I'm just going to kind of indicate that by smearing in some of my black. And I'm pulling lights and darks as much as I can from just black and the white of the canvas at this moment. Then I'll go in with white, then other colors. So we're gonna do it like a few steps at a time. Okay, so his mouth is in here somewhere. I'm trying to feel out the width, and it's basically just a smile. I guess this would be the part that I talk about my favorite Batman, Joker scene. And I feel like a phony because I think I don't have as many as probably I get the feeling you do. But I will say in the movie when he walks in with all of the other clowns and the masks, it was just really, really scary when I first saw it in theaters. I was much younger. Anyway, I grew up with brothers, and I grew up watching Batman and Joker. And then, of course, there was a resurgence with every single Batman every single Batman movie they've made. There's like a resurgence of like popularity, and I feel like I experienced it in one way or another. All of the Batman eras, all of the Joker eras. Honestly, Joker is a little bit cooler than Batman. I'm sorry. He's got style. I guess Batman reminds me of Bible Man. I don't know if you've seen Bible Man, but it's like giving outdated Bible Man vibes, which I love Bible Man, but that's why Joker is way cooler, because he's got the makeup, he's got the rawness, the sadness, but that's why we're all here. That's why we all love him. I mean, he's just a hurt person. Okay, so the jawline is angular, and the jaw actually goes above his nose, like the angle, because he's doing a really, really creepy face, which I know how to do this creepy face. Trust me, you don't want to see it. I'm like weirdly good at making horrifying faces. But yeah, so I'm just gonna cut it in like that. Oh my god, this is looking dope. And there's a little chin peeking out, but do you see how the jawline is blending in with the mouth? That's an important detail. And then do you see how like the little, what do you call this thing? This that connects to the mouth is really strong. And so I'm painting that in. If you know what this is, let me know. What is it? That line. I feel like you'd have to be like a plastic surgeon or a dermatologist or cosmetologist or something to know. Finger flutters. I like working on this wash because I can pull out all of these different gray tones. Alright. Leaving a little bit of light in here. It's not perfectly placed, but it's good enough for now. I'm gonna increase the shadow on this side of the face. He's looking a little bit like Wolverine at the moment. That's okay. It's the upward motion here with the hair. I love Wolverine too. I think that's a different universe though. I'm adding a triangle on top of the triangle, upside down triangle on this side of the eye. Just chiseling in the side of the face a little bit, and then going like that. Let's fill all of this in dark. I might need more black. We're gonna add detail later. Okay, I need more black, so where is it? This is my thick black Gabby paint. You squeeze it out of the top and then you clip it. It's a little annoying, not gonna lie. Manage. Alright, just painting this in, getting distracted. Filling in this whole lower portion below the face with black. For now. Keeping everything simplified, only using black, limiting ourselves. Now, then I'm gonna add white and then other colors. I am getting a little bit tired, so I think the ASMR is working on me. All right, let's add more black in the hair area, adding a little bit more fullness at the base of the hair. And wisping it out, kind of curling it backward and upwards, a little tipsy topsy turvy. If you can find the architectural structure early on in the painting, you're gonna be way better off. Trust me. Lots of darkness in here as well, and then we're gonna add some light all through there very soon. So hang with me. Okay. Even though this side is kind of hidden in the dark, I still need to kind of articulate it. All right, now I'm bringing in the white, starting out with a little bit of a gray. I'm not quite going straight into white. I'm mixing the white in with the black to make like a middle gray tone. Just going straight on the canvas. Adding a little bit more black into the white black mixture. And it's a back and forth between black and white. Oops. There's kind of a angle to the shadow. It's a bit more nuanced than that, so I'm going to mess it up. I don't want to get too hyper fixated on it. Now I'm going to go basically painting in the eyebrow bone. Right in here, there's a rectangle shape. And there's like the 11 lines kind of intermittently through his forehead, not really as concise as 11 lines, but something like that. Once again, painting in between the space. Taking white to highlight one of the 11 lines. And over here as well. I will say this painting is a little bit more intuitive. In the sense that when you're painting wrinkles and stuff, it's not really about doing it line for line. It's more about capturing the essence. And here, just darkening it. After you darken it, you can add back in a few little highlights. It's really coming to life. It really is like sculpting. Keep that in mind. Let's add a bunch of white space up here on the forehead, creating almost like a boomerang shape in the negative space. Side to side brush strokes. Using large brush strokes, allowing the paint to really be expressive. Alright, and here it's almost like his forehead. This thing, temples, they're wrinkly too. So I'm going to use the white and kind of cut into the wrinkles. But it's kind of like caving in right there. But then it kind of pops back out around the cheekbone area. And I am kind of plotting out some wrinkles around his eyes. Just like so. It's almost like little lines. Thick lines, allowing the grays and the blacks to show through the white that you're adding. This technique is called scumbling. What does it mean to scumble? Good question. Scumble, scumble, scumble. I feel like scumbling could be a good ASMR word. Basically means you put thick or thin layers of a lighter color over a darker color, allowing some of the darker color to come through, but you kind of scumble it on there. Let me show you. It's like you kind of just scumble it. So you kind of tilt you angle your brush. Nose. Remember we talked about the triangle? It's a little bit bulbous on the tip. Kind of circular motions. Wispy brush strokes. That's the nostril, like a little circle around on the side of the nose, but I still want to connect it. And then on this side, it's a little more disconnected, more shaded on this side. The light source is coming from the left, so the right's going to be much darker. That's why I'm literally painting in the light from the left. So let's create some more shape around the eye. that should be more of a solid shape. In here, kind of like the wrinkles kind of curve around the side of his eye. And then all of this is going to be one shape. Almost like a square on the top, but round on the bottom. With little rough edges. And then we're going to go back in with the black to reiterate these 11 lines and like where everything goes. But this is the start in here. I did that to kind of highlight. And in here there's going to be more wrinkles for sure, but also more light. Creating a little bit more head space, forehead space in particular. And I'm just going to scumble in here some light. Oh yeah. So good. And let's do some scumbling at the top too. It's basically diagonal lines through the top of his hair, kind of soft, wispy. Kind of like little clumps of hair catching the light. It doesn't have to be exact. Like little wispy lines. It's looking good. And here, let's kind of blend that in where we're not really sure where the hair starts and stops. Some gray, because we've got lots of super lights and some super darks, but we don't have a ton of middle gray tones, so we're going to be sure to incorporate those. It looks pretty good though. From afar, I mean, you can't really see it. I look good. Okay. So, let's get back into it. The hair falling over his right eye, I'm just going to break up this shadow and break it up with the white to imply the hair is coming over the eye. Just like so. And some white and gray. I mixed some gray, which is basically just white and black, and plopping it in just here and there, just to add some depth to the hair, almost like little whiskers or something. Whiskers. Okay, make a jawline by just adding a little peak of white that shows through the darkness. Because, like I said, he's making a really creepy face, right? Because like that. Trust me, I could do it, but I don't want to give you nightmares. Like I said, I'm really good at making scary faces. I guess because my face is very flexible. I have a lot of I could do a lot of things, like lots of muscle movement. Alright, now the space between his nose and his mouth. It's almost like a triangle, but like a warped triangle. And see how painting that paints his lips? I'm looking at where it lines up with his nose. I feel like his nose should come down a little more. It's not a cute patent nose. Adding a shadow here on the right side of the nose and kind of moving that shadow into the white. Mixed a medium gray. It's kind of about finding that gradient. You want it to fade into, it's like you want the colors to fade into each other, you know? Okay. And then I'm not totally sure what's going on in here, but there's indication of something. So I'm just adding a little like white and gray. Wanting to put a few more lighter highlights over here. Looking good. It's looking creepy, isn't it? But in a good way. Let's get the chin. Another little light spot here, almost like a circular motion turned into a boomerang. Fading off into the darkness over here. Keeping your brush strokes nice and loose can help you get away with a lot, because if it's already messy, you don't really know what's supposed to be there and what's not, you know? So a little more shading under the eye. Making the space between the nose and the eye a little more intentional with a gray, a nice shade of gray. And then realizing, wow, I need to really expand this in here more. So that's what I'm gonna do. Just add more white to make the cheek surface area fuller. I'm noticing that the shadow underneath his chin, or his nose, is like, it kind of comes to an angle, right? Like that. And then there's some shading here, but it looks like there's a gray in here, that space above his lip and below his nose needs to be defined. And then I'm going to highlight that with a little bit of a lighter gray. Now over here, it's gray, darker gray. And then let's make this more confident with some dark shades of gray. But I'm going to keep a little bit of light underneath the mouth. I feel like that could be softer. I feel like that kind of distracts. Like Nothing I can't fix. I'm pulling the light out of the shadows at the moment. And we've been focusing a lot on the light coming in from the left side. We haven't focused on the light behind him. So that's my next step. That's gonna make the head, the face, the features, everything feel way more defined. This is painting the negative space. So it's like painting the space all around what it is you think you're painting. So like, for instance, if you're painting me, you would be painting this behind me and the microphone and the wall, the space between my art, and then in turn that will draw me. If you draw all of those things, I'll be there. So paint the negative space, so that's what we're gonna do. And I really wanted to hammer that in because it's gonna look way better after I do this. So just see what I mean. This is the space. Okay, so now I'm able to define the shape of his hair. Very good. And keeping that angle of his shoulder, which should line up right around here. His shoulder, the angle is very quite angled, and it kind of lines up. It should line up around his eyebrow, actually, so I should probably make it even higher than that. There. Yeah. That really gives him that creepy, like, look. I'm not gonna do the full thing because I don't want to give you nightmares like I said. Hey, it's about to be spooky season. So doing the same thing on this side. And then his hair kind of flips out over here. And this shoulder goes a little bit below. But I still think I need to maybe raise his shoulder up a little bit more. And honestly, I think that there's some light cast on his shoulder, so making that gray, just a gray diagonal chunk of gray. Did I mention it's gray? There we go. I think that looks a little weird. I don't know why, but sometimes messing it up can help. Now in here, it feels like it needs to be more connected. I might need to flip my painting upside down. Oh wait, wrong color. I thought I was using white. Oh well, whatever. Alright, let's add some of those 11 lines back in. Okay, we can just paint over anything we mess up on. That's the beauty of it. There are no mistakes, right? Only happy accidents. I'm telling you, it's like life. It's deep. Painting is like life. The more you paint, the more you life. No, I'm kidding. The more you paint, the more you start to draw these incredible parallels between the wisdoms of painting and the wisdoms of life. I'm telling you. things, like if you know, you know. Let's do a little hair like that. Feeling out the expansion of the forehead. Like, how big is his forehead really? There we go, something similar to that. Okay, creepy. Really creepy. I almost don't even want to add color to it because it's like kind of cool, black and white, you know? Something kind of epic about the black and whiteness of it. Just adding more structure to the chin. Let's shape the upper lip a little bit in here. Just adding more black on the side. I feel like I need to add white and like just make the hair piecier over here. So I'm just gonna take my brush and just gonna like add some flyaways just to make it a little crazier looking. Okay, a little flyaway here, some flyaways over here. Sometimes you overwork something a little bit. Don't be hard on yourself. It's okay. Trust me, it's okay. It's gonna be okay. You just have to kind of backtrack. That's it. And sometimes overworking can be a good thing because it forces you to expand your painting. So we're just going to break into the hair a little bit more with the white, the negative space. Once again, already that looks better, piecier. Right? Let's break into this a little bit, curve it in. Okay, maybe a little too much, but okay, let me flip it upside down. You're probably like, what? Yeah, I'm almost done. I don't think I'm gonna add the color. Not today at least, but hey, that would be fun for another one. Cause it still could use color. It would add on like another whole hour. I like the idea of adding color in the next one. It could be like a color theory lesson. What do you think? Before I flip it up, I really do have to stand up and just kind of like move my body. So this dress, a little bit about her. She's a dupe. We love a good dupe. The original one was like $1,000, which I don't have $1,000 laying around at the moment. So what did I do? I found a dupe. And was the website questionable? Yes. But did it work out in my favor? Yes. So yeah, I'm gonna flip it and flip my reference. I'm gonna work on it for like 15 more minutes. And I'm gonna call it good. And then we can add color to it in another video. If I feel like adding color. But I might not. I might just keep it black and white. but no need to rush into decisions. Actually, I'm going to use a smaller brush now. I forgot to mention towards the end of the painting. Okay, so I forgot to mention towards the end of the painting, I want you to get a smaller brush. This one still has a tag on it, whatever. You see how it's thinner at the top? That's going to allow me to get details. Okay, so it is that time to detail away, but not too much, but some. Get your smaller brush. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth between white and black, starting out with white. So, right there, highlighting little moments. And now getting the black to kind of blend in a little bit. Taking the black and just going in. Alright, now going in with the white. And again, just highlighting a few places. Over here as well. I also want to keep it shaded too, so I'm gonna make my gray and keep this nice and gray-y in here. I'm just kind of mixing on my canvas rather than using a palette knife at the moment. Although I do like using palette knives. Alright, taking my black, going in, creating more just darkness on the side by almost scumbling the scumble in a way. What does that mean? It's almost like I'm getting the black and just like undoing some of the scumble. Getting a little crazy with the hair. Now going in with the white, breaking it up a little bit, doing some curves and some kind of sticking out motion. There you go. Okay. We want the wrinkles to feel like they're cut into the skin, kind of, which is why I almost liked, I don't want to drag my paintbrush across, creating too dark of lines, really. I want it to be like the white is over the darkness, like the white is thicker than the black, so that it feels like the skin is like closer to the viewer and like folding forward, if that makes sense. So you really do have to think kind of like a sculptor. Okay, this is thicker, kind of curves in. And creating a little bit more shading in the chin area. Oops. Taking my black and just kind of working that in. There we go. Now the nose is a little bit crooked, which is fine, but I want to move it over just a little because I feel like, yeah, It needs to, the right nostril needed to be moved over. Not hard. It's okay to paint everything at once. It's okay to move things around. The entire process, it's encouraged. It means you're discovering your art along the way, and that's truly what it's all about. Isn't it all about a discovery? Isn't it all about a discovery process? If we wanted a photograph from the internet, we would do that, but we're discovering something about ourselves, about life, about the Joker, about visuals. I mean, we're discovering something, so be open to that discovery by moving things around, painting everything all at once. And like, when you move something slightly, you have to admit you are wrong. It's okay. You weren't wrong. That was a step in the process. You see what I mean? It's a subtle difference. So. Probably curled that in a little too much. You can always just paint over anything that you painted. And I'm going to brighten up this nostril. It's kind of a small crooked triangle in the darkness on the right side. Well, now the left side. See, when you flip something upside down, it gets all topsy-turvy. There is no left from right. And then whenever you think of his left compared to your left, it's like, wait a second. What are we talking about? When you get to a certain point in a painting, you have to kind of ask yourself, what really bothers me about the painting? And then just kind of fix that, because otherwise you'll just kind of start going over the same thing over and over, and like you won't really come to a conclusion or a final like stopping point that you feel good about until you kind of force yourself to get there sometimes, because it's like, you know, just being a little bit I don't know if perfectionistic is the word, but maybe it is, but just focusing on the details so much where you are hyperfixating and you can't see everything that's right in it because you're looking at everything wrong. So zoom away, step back, just focus on those last few things that you want to fix before you call it good for the night. It doesn't need to be 100% perfect. It's not a race on who can paint fastest. Maybe it is. That's not what it is here. I kind of want this brush. This is going to be a good brush for like scumbling and just, you'll see. I'm going to show you. I don't know if that focused. I hope it did. Okay, so basically I'm just going to take my white, dip it in there, and just kind of go like that. And I'm going to do that here too. It's a good way to just get like these general overall, I don't know, it's like an interesting look. I can't explain it. It's like this texture-y, too much texture. Right there, it's going to look like a wart if I don't get it off. Okay. This one has a nice angle. And that's going to allow me to really hone in some of these like moments where it's very like pointy. Taking the white, moving it in around the black point. Okay, it's looking pretty good. I feel like I need to flip it. I'm getting excited. Okay. I feel like all my brushes are drying really quick. Alright, let's flip it and see what's happening. It looks really good. I want to work on the nose just a little bit, but it does look really good. It's definitely pretty much at a stopping place. Let's make the jaw a little bit bigger in here. Maybe push back the background even more by just making it a little bit brighter. I'm gonna take some gray and just kind of making a little bit of a gray shadow in between the black and the white, where the hair and the skin meet, basically. And adding some gray and a few more little highlights in the hair, just here and there. We don't want to get too crazy. And then in here, it's like his nose is a little bit more textured. And softer shadows in there as well. Okay, wow. I'm into it. Wow. A few more hairs kind of coming in and out. The messier the better with the choker, wouldn't you say? Alright. I really like it. Here is the final image. What do you think? Cool, right? Oh, I do think I need to do one thing to his lip. I almost got rid of this, like, hump. Like, that looks more like him with that in it. Okay. I plan on working on this more, potentially. I do consider this pretty much of a start to finish tutorial because I consider this a solid stopping point. I really like it. I could say it's done and feel pretty confident about that. But I could also see myself going in and adding color to it as well because the color is just enough to maybe add a little more character without keep taking away from this moody vibe. Either way, I'm glad I got the light structure and the overall gist of the painting. I am so glad I got to work on this with you. And I hope you learned something about how to paint the Joker or how to just paint in general. I hope you also got relaxed with the ASMR and with the low lighting. on this more in the future. If I do, I will definitely let you know and clue you in so you can learn a thing or two about how to add color to a black and white painting. Hopefully you learned a thing or two about how to paint the Joker. I feel like his nose looks a little wide, but a little off over here. Yeah, I needed that. And then right here too. Okay, I think it's good. I don't want to overdo it. And it's getting late. I'm getting tired. And so is Joker. And so are you. Bye. I'll see you in the next video.